Lights, cameras.
This is swanky. This is lifestyle. This is culture. Welcome to the social center of everything culture. Culture Daily.
Echoso right here on the Culture Daily Show. Now, today we are having a part 2 of a conversation we started last week, okay? And this is the conversation on IPs. Specifically, we are going to look at the legal battles that have to do with streaming rights and also the impact that this has on content consumption and monetization. So, yes, again, we have lawyer David William Ikoku Nyantechi. Hey, this name, this Nyantechi name. On a regular, I'll be able to pronounce Nyantechi. I don't know why. Please, the people holding my tongue when it comes to Nyantechi. Leave my tongue alone, please.
Please, we'll have a jar.
You have a jar for what?
For you.
You won't even say Shupa. When you said Shupa, we didn't even write it. Don't keep quiet. I'll write it. Don't worry. But yes, we're going to have that chat. But before we get too deep into the conversation, that we forget to make some money. Guys, you ready? Trip?
Ready.
Yeah.
So, do you want a British degree, so that you don't say Shupa Jazz Club? If you want a British degree at a fraction of the cost, do you want a vibrant... Debbie, please, where's the English breakfast? I beg.
That's why you can't talk.
No, I can't speak English this morning. But if you want a British degree at a fraction of the cost, if you want a vibrant student experience in a community that equips you with useful employability skills, taking you one step closer to the career of your dreams, then you can enjoy all these and more, plus up to 50% scholarship for your degree at Lancaster University, Ghana, where you will be taught by the finest faculty trained to UK standards at their ultra-modern campus. For more information, you can visit www.lancaster.edu.gh. You can also contact them via email at admissions@lancaster.edu.gh or call them on 020-960-7008. Lancaster University, Ghana, the only British university campus in West Africa. Okay,
all right, definitely. And we need to protect ourselves from germs. Now, Clean's hand soap is saying protect yourself from germs and bacteria with confidence. Clean's hand soap effectively kills 99.9% of germs with every use. Perfect for all your hand washing moments throughout the day. Available in a variety of invigorating variants and delightful flavors. Aloe vera, strawberry, vanilla, honey, and antibacterial and chocolate. Choose the favorite for yourself, your family, and your friends. Make Cleanse your daily essential. Stay clean with Cleanse. The GC brand is all about you.
All about you. And of course, you need money to make all of these things possible, whether you're going to school, you're buying Pepsodent, or you're buying your Cleanse hand soap. And so that is why Bedway, if you are one who bets, Bedway is here for you. Now, this feature is one that you can use to save yourself and your money. For those who place multi-bets and it seems to be going your way until it is not, Bedway's Bet Saver feature is here to help you. Okay, so even if you are losing, you are not missing out, okay, because you're going to be winning. All right, you understand that?
Yeah.
Yes. And then also you kind of get your bed back and more. The Bet Saver feature is exclusive only on Bedway, and with that we say you get way more. Terms and conditions apply, and this is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Remember that you need to bet the responsible way. Okay, still in the money making spirit, Telecel's More Money promo is here for you. About 50 winners have taken home 30,000 Ghana cedis, and you can be that lucky winner of the 1 million Ghana cedis, but only if you keep purchasing your data, your airtime, or reloading your fixed broadband. Okay, and that is how you stand a chance of winning. So you can send 500 win to 500 or dial *500#, or you can opt in for free on Telecel's Play app. Join the Telecel More Money promo now and make your new year very, very enjoyable and sweet. Of course, 30,000 cedis quote unquote free money or a million Ghana cedis will do a lot. Terms and conditions apply, and this promo is regulated by NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. We connect energies with Telecel. Okay, so we are going to start the conversation, okay? But lawyer, I would want us to now just touch a little on the music aspect. Today we are going to be talking beyond music, okay? So just open it up to creatives in general. So for our actors out there, for the people who lend their voices to arts via voice over artistry, for the TV and the radio presenter as well, how do we protect what is ours? And then also for commercial models as well, because you know that you are made to sign a contract when you are doing commercial modeling, and it also binds you to a certain number of years that you are unable to do for a competing brand, all of these and more that I want us to look at. If you're just joining us on the show today, we are going to be doing a part 2 of the conversation on legal battles over streaming rights, and then also the impact on content and monetization. So we have joining us here David William Ikoku Nyantichi, who is a legal associate and from BNP associate, right? So yes. Hi, David. Hi, William. Hi, lawyer.
Class.
Good morning. Good morning.
I hope you you studied your notes from the last time.
Is this why we take a pen and paper? Because
I brought a
I
cane.
have my
I
notes.
brought a cane, yeah, especially for trips. So
okay. Anyway, yes. I would want us to, again, like I mentioned, on the music conversation, right? Last week we mentioned the upcoming artist and all of that, right?
Yeah.
But now I would just want us to look at it in totality. Whether you're an upcoming artist or you're already established, what do you do to protect what is yours? What steps should they take to protect their intellectual property?
I recall from the last discussion that we had, I mentioned that, having a solid team around you is usually the best way to start. I mentioned having a lawyer, having a manager and all that. It's very, very important. But I guess copyright registration is also important. I didn't mention the last time that it doesn't necessarily guarantee you protection, because if someone is going to infringe on your copyrighted material, they still will. But it helps in terms of evidence. It creates a presumption of ownership, so that when you go to court and then you produce your copyright certification, you don't have to prove anything. The burden shifts on the other person. So maybe, definitely, when you create work, have it registered for the purposes of evidence, and then also have a solid team around you, especially lawyers, because you're going to need lawyers a lot. If you are upcoming, of course it's difficult to have your own lawyer because lawyers are expensive. Unfortunately, it's expensive, but you definitely need lawyers. So if you can't have a lawyer, at least have a manager. And not just a manager. I remember the last time I mentioned the boys thing. It's not the best. It's not the best, because typically the boys people, the close friends that you use, they don't really have much expertise in the industry. They are just going with the flow, and then maybe they would help you with money. That's what I've realized. They usually support you with money. But you need more than that. You need technical expertise. You need someone who at least has the insights to know that you need a lawyer.
Okay, so in the case where the up-and-coming artist wants a lawyer, right? You've already mentioned that lawyers are expensive, so I understand that. But is it possible that, sometimes the lawyer will also, like the boys are doing, you believe so much in the person's craft that you would want to go along with the person until they are able to pay you?
Some lawyers do that. I have done that, and the person.
Oh, nice.
I don't mention names, but I've been with the person. No, the person is mainstream now.
Okay, great.
He's actually mainstream now, and it's spiritual when you look at it, like, believing in someone. But there's also some bias to it, because that person was a childhood friend, so I knew him.
You trust that person.
Yeah, but ordinarily, if you are someone I don't know, it will be difficult, and you can't fault any lawyer for not. Even though they may believe in you, at the end of the day, they have bills to pay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
In essence,
Yeah.
lawyer is saying
So-
he doesn't know you will charge you.
no,
That's
really.
all.
So what I do sometimes, I work with a lot of emerging acts. What I do is I know that if I will charge you, I won't charge you on the same scale I would charge like an A-lister. Yeah, I'll definitely give you a heavily discounted. But as you grow, your fees will probably increase because then your contracts will get more comprehensive. Yeah, for instance, you sign a distribution agreement when you're an emerging act. 4 years from now, if you get there was this deal I worked on with Warner Chappell. They are a subsidiary under Warner Music Group. If you compare major label or major publishing agreements like that to the ones that the emerging acts sign, you realize that there's a lot of pages. The differences in the pages.
Right.
Warner Chappell agreements would have like close to 30 pages with schedules and all that, but an emerging acts distribution deal would be like a 2-pager or a 1-pager. So in that sense, if you have a lawyer who's growing with you, you should also grow the legal fees too, because with such agreements you would see there are typically advances and all that. So it all depends on you, the creative too, whether some are really selfish, some are really, and I'm saying that from experience too, some are really selfish. Someone would help you, but as you grow, you don't want that person to grow with you. You still hoard money when you know that now you have the capacity to at least pay something. So it's a two-way street. It's not all on the lawyers. If you want the lawyers to help you, you should also be willing to
help them as
Now,
well.
yeah.
Since you mentioned, okay, Issy, you go first.
Oh no, are you gonna do? Because I wanted to change the trajectory of the conversation.
Okay, so since he's talking about upcoming artists, I want to give you a scenario. Now, say a producer, right? A producer decides to work with an upcoming artist because he feels like he has a great sound and maybe he could shape and tailor the sound, to make it appealing, and they decide to work. But because both of them have an idea or they understand that, maybe you're not paying me, you can't pay me, but you're good, I like your stuff, so we're going to, draft something, work something out, have an agreement or a contract of sorts, and then we're going to work on the basis of that. Now, along the line, they have a misunderstanding, and then maybe they stop working, but the contract is still, the duration is still valid. But because of the misunderstanding, they are unable to get past it, and the contract is still in effect.
So this is a concluded contract.
It's a contract.
Okay.
It's still in effect. But because they're unable to move past their misunderstanding, they're no longer like working together, right? But they have done work that is already there, and now the contract has expired. Now, who owns the rights? And the producer has refused to release whatever they've worked on. Now, who has the rights to, move or make a move, say, to court or something? I don't know. What is the procedure to follow, like in an instance like this?
So there are two mains when you look at this is a dispute resolution issue, and there are two main ways to look at it: the amicable way and then litigation. Those are the two broad ways you would want to look at it. As to who has the right, again, it's a two-way street. It's a contract, so two parties signed it. So either party may enforce the contract.
Right.
Usually, what we do for creatives in these situations is you don't go straight to court, because the entertainment industry does not like people who are considered or viewed as litigants. So, and it hurts your brand too, and it even affects the way you would get investors, because it makes your stock go down. Investors wouldn't want to deal with someone who has litigation. So what we do is we try amicable resolutions. We write what's known as demand letters.
Okay.
And in the demand letters, usually a way to let the other parties know that, hey, you are fully coming. So typically when they see a strongly worded letter from a lawyer, they would reach out. They wouldn't let it progress to a writ of summons. They would reach out and then let you understand where they are coming from. You also let them understand where you are coming from. You find middle ground, and then you incorporate that in a settlement agreement, and then that's it.
But this is the instance where now the contract is expired, and probably the producer is hoarding, music.
The expiration of the contract will not necessarily derogate from the rights that were validly accrued during the subsistence of same. I hope I'm not sounding too lawyer.
Yes.
What's
It sounds very-
subsistence of sin? What
When I
was
say
that?
subsistence
'Cause
of
it sounds
sin,
very technical.
Yeah.
I mean, during the pendency to is still pretty. During the time the agreement was valid.
Was
So
it?
let's say we sign a 1-year agreement from today till next year, same date, right? Between that period, the agreement is deemed to be subsisting. So the fact that next year it terminates doesn't mean you can't enforce rights that were validly accrued during that
During
time.
that,
But there's a limitation act. So when it comes to contractual situations, typically it's 6 years. After 6 years, you can't enforce. But as long as the limitation statute hasn't kicked in, you can always
You can.
enforce your rights.
So
Alright.
let's talk about sampling, okay?
Right,
Just
right.
for a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, Darko, who is
That's- I think that's
a
what I was
musician,
gonna
she released a song titled "Focus on Me," right? This song samples P Square's "Give Me That," which was released several years ago. Now, when the song came out, it was taken down. Okay, and this is the conversation. According to Darko, she had clearance for the sample. Okay, you know that P Square is going through a troubling time right now, with their big brother as well, in between themselves and then with their big brother. So now she says that she had clearance for the song to use the sample. Okay, and everybody was on the same page until Mr. P came to say that he wants to feature on the song. Okay, and then she explains that she would have to have him feature maybe on the remix, right? But he kept pushing for the feature on the main song. Okay, now in this case that the song was taken down, although the song has now been put back up, right? What are the options, or what were the options, what should have been the options for Darko?
Trip, this is what we were talking about the last time
Yeah.
about situations like this where, and I mentioned that when it comes to music disputes, they usually don't end up in courts, and when they even do end up in courts, they are not concluded. And what that breeds is speculation, because there's not really any evidence. All we have are allegations of facts. So what you see on the timeline, the threads and all that, they are not necessarily facts. In law, we consider them as allegations. All they create are factual issues that can only be resolved with evidence.
Okay.
So to a large extent, saying or coming to a conclusion as to who is wrong and who is right is difficult. But what we can do right now is benefit from our discussion the last time. If you did indeed read your notes the last time, I want to throw a question back.
I will not read the notes.
So the copyrighted.
Okay, I did not read the notes.
Okay, maybe
the other people did.
someone here did. So what would be the infringed material here, or whose rights would be infringed here in terms of the music rights?
Darko.
No, in terms of what we discussed last, when I was talking, I mentioned that musical works generates two potential rights: publishing rights, master rights. So which angle would be relevant here?
I think master, right?
Nah, you didn't read. So it's
I've already said it.
It's
so
publishing
I don't-
rights.
publishing
Yeah,
rights,
if you listen to the song, you'd realize
Okay,
it's
okay,
the beat that was a part of P Square's original
Give me
song's
that.
beat
Yeah.
In the video
that
as
was
well,
sampled.
she sampled the idea of the video
The
as well.
video.
Because I think that
The
she was trying
video.
to now play it back into the 90s.
Yeah.
It gives like 90-ish vibes.
Oh, for the video, we'll come to that. The audiovisual works, we'll come to that. But I'm even talking about the song. That's where I think
That's
the
where the
focus
issue
was.
Yes,
The
is,
beat
yes, the
sampled,
beats, yeah.
an element of the original P Square song.
Yeah.
So it means the composer or the publisher is the one whose rights have been potentially breached here.
Yeah.
So that's the person who the clearance should have been done with. And I think one management, right, that's Mr. P's team, they mentioned that she cleared it with the wrong administrators. Administrators are publishers, it's just that they do less. That's why they are called. They just collect revenue.
Okay.
So the question right now, the real issue is who was the rights administrator or publisher that the clearance should have been done with. How you do this is through a licensing agreement.
Okay.
Basically, a contractual agreement between the publisher and then the person who wants to use their composition. In this case, it was an actual sampling, so it will be a synchronization license. It wasn't like a derivative work. They used the actual elements. You can hear when you listen to the song, you can hear the same elements
similarities, yeah.
in the so that's actual sampling. So you need a synchronization license. And that's how you do the clearance. You reach out to the person who owns this the publishing rights, and then you pay a fee, and then they allow you to use the sample. And it's
like a
typically
lease,
done
right?
before you release.
It's like a lease.
No, it's not a lease, it's a license. It's a license.
Okay.
You are given permission to use that at a fee.
So you're saying that in order to know who the actual work belongs to, who do you go to? How do you find out? Because she's in a situation where she actually did seek for clearance and even offered 50% of the earnings that are supposed to come from, you know, streaming and whatsoever, thinking that she's done and she has completed whatever
diligence.
yes your license is supposed to get. And these two people who have an issue that's unresolved,
I think that's where the problem
I think that's the
stems from.
first
The
mistake.
feud between the two.
The
It makes it very
brothers.
difficult
And she
to know
was
who
convinced,
exactly.
and she
Yeah,
was
I think so.
convinced that, you know, they don't have she wouldn't have to reach out to the other brother to get clearance because the song belongs to this one. And I think also she had to get clearance because I think the like you said, composition. I think sometimes I get the names mixed up. So it's Mr. P and
Rude Boy.
Rude Boy. So I
P
think
Square, yeah.
Rude Boy ended up he was on the instrumentation, and so that's where the issue was coming from. And so how do you know who exactly to reach out to for some of these things so you don't end up in a situation like this?
This is why sometimes when artists find themselves in these kind of quagmires, I recommend, you know, people who are fans of those artists to cut them a bit of slack, because it's not uncommon in the music industry to have these situations arise, because sometimes the artist doesn't even know that something has been sampled in the first place. And then sometimes they may know, but like this situation, they don't even know who they are supposed to clear it with. And given the facts we have for this case, you would know that there's a tension between two potential owners, because I understand they have a label, right? Square Records or something like that. And we don't, like I said, there's lack of evidence here, so we don't even know who the owners of that label are, because they are the ones that you're supposed to deal with. Probably they are the ones administrating P Square's old compositions and whatnot. So to a large extent, what we really would have to, what we can do is just speculate as to who she was supposed to clear with. We can't tell for sure, but all we know is she was supposed to clear with the publisher or
That's
the composer.
beyond clearing with the artists as well. But you see, doesn't the onus now lie on these people, P Square, I mean, to do that clearance with the publisher? Because if I come to you, right, and I like a song of yours and I want to sample your song, right, and you give me clearance, now you would know that, or you should know that you have to go to everybody else that worked on it, that distributed, that published it, and then clear with them as well. So I don't have a problem. But in this case as well, I think that sentiments played a role in it on Mr. P's end as well.
Because I think Darko mentioned that she had cleared it with a
Yes.
certain company, and he told her that that company is non-existent or something like that, and she should clear with the right company. So we don't know the nitty-gritties of it, but at the end of the day, I think he mentioned that she finally cleared it with Square Records, and I would assume that would be the current administrators of the composition. So maybe
Which means at this point we need to be very careful, and especially like try and stay, if you're going to sample something, try and stay away from disputes, because I mean we've known that these two parties, even though they've been a group before, they are having, you know, issues in regards to who owns what and all of that. And so it wasn't actually, I'm not going to say smart, but I mean I don't think Darko should have played in those waters yet, at least waiting for, you know, that side to calm down, because they've been having issues back and forth. This person says what, and they are not done, you know, figuring that out. And so I think they've dragged her, or she has put herself in a very weird spot, because
Or
I
maybe
think they
don't
took
even
her
sample at all, because
Oh, why not?
no, you know what? Sometimes I don't quite understand why people want to necessarily sample a song. I know that it's part of music, right? And it's normal, but it's the understanding that I think if you want to get inspiration from the song, it's okay, right? Why not just do yours, just to stay away from all of these legal battles and the whole back and forth that sometimes arises when it comes to
We take
sampling.
sampling out of the entertainment, especially in the music industry. You would have a lot you would leave much to be desired.
Yeah.
Darko is not even new to this. Didn't she sample
done it a
Break
number
and
of
Lace?
times.
And it was
Yeah, a
really,
number
it
of
sounded
times.
really good.
Even
So I
her
think
song right now was also a sample of Egyptian song.
It's what I'm saying, that I understand that it is very much a part of music, right? But if you don't absolutely have to do it, you stay away from it, because an example will be Burna Boy and Brandy, right? You know that people still can't even find which part of the song was sampled, because I'm like, I think that the song is okay even without that little
That
sample.
element.
All I'm saying is to say that if
it must
you
be
have
absolutely necessary.
yes, if it's not necessary, if you don't have to go through the whole stress that comes with sampling, the whole back and forth that comes with sampling, and you can just, of course, do your beats and then also put your lyrics on it and just go your way, and the song will also still do great.
You know the funny thing
Then
about
you
art,
can
the
just go about
subjectivity
it.
to it.
Yes.
Because you may listen to a song and feel like you could have done away with this bit, right?
Yeah.
But then to the artist, like, that's what
makes
makes
sense.
it,
Sentimental.
or whatever reason, that's what makes the song
Special.
yeah for him. Imagine the Darko Break and Lace song I was talking about there.
Yeah.
If you take out that Break and Lace sample,
Yeah.
I think the song will not have.
And I mean,
blew
we
up as
always hear
it did.
that, originality is only judicious imitation. And so, I mean, I believe that it's, and also,
There's
people,
nothing new under the sun.
yeah, and
there's
people
nothing new.
Exactly.
decide to sample also because of the head start it gives them. Because when you hear a Brick and Lace,
A familiar sound.
you already
yeah.
know, you already love it, so you already give that song credit before you hear what the person has been able to do with something you already love, but I want to move into my space where one thing that really disturbs me when it comes to IP with actors, especially in Ghana, is that when you sign a contract, my love, that movie is gone. You're not going to get anything from it. And for a long time, we felt like that's how it works. Only for me to end up working with a company and finding out that no, you actually be paid for this, be paid for that. And let me even break it down. You be paid for your performance. You be paid for being an ambassador of that, movie, where you have to post it up. You be like a speaker. When you have to do a press tour, they pay for all of those things before they also give you like some monies after the movie also has been put out. But I just want to know if there are laws that protect the IP of actors in Ghana.
Ready for a crash course on the film industry.
Because I feel like
All
people
right.
need to know, especially in our space, people want the spotlight and the fame so bad. They don't care who's stealing from them.
Or who's not paying them
Or who's
at all.
not paying them at all. Did you hear how Lenny
Not-
said it?
Yeah, not so long ago, I actually negotiated a contract for an actor, and he found himself in. Anyway, let's talk about
He said anyway.
it's funny. I understand your sentiments a lot, but okay, let me talk.
Yes.
Audiovisual works, right? That's the copyrightable subject matter when it comes to the film industry, like movies, audiovisual works. And audiovisual works are not as complex in terms of the rights that are realizable. It's just one right, the video or the film that has been created. Now, that right is typically owned by the producer, the production company. They own the rights to it, although they trace their rights to the source material. So usually there's a screenwriter or a playwright if it's for theater, or if it's an adaptation, the novelist. They enter into something we call film option agreements with them. Then the film option agreements gives them some time to secure the resources, which would include you, to make the movie. Now you see where I'm even starting from. You are deemed a resource. So you should really not expect much.
Okay.
So the resources I'm talking about, the director, the actors, the crew, if there are people who are going to be scoring the movie, film composers or musicians or whatever.
Extras.
All these people are they're engaged under work for hire agreements.
Okay.
So you are deemed as independent contractors. We pay you a flat fee and that's it.
Okay.
You usually don't have any other claims to the movie itself.
Is this only in Ghana or is this a worldwide
it's a
thing?
worldwide thing. The production company owns the movies, but if you engage a lawyer, that's where you can negotiate for more, because the lawyer would tell you about something like a success clause, something like a residual clause. I'm sure you never really thought of. Let me give you an example of a success clause. I know you used to act. I've seen some of the movies you've been.
Please, no, used to. I still
You still do, right? But now it's more of the culture daily thing.
Yes.
Or you are giving up because they are not giving you ownership over the movies.
They are stressing my life. I'm looking for better deals.
But we don't give up.
You
on
played
it.
a movie, some schoolgirl kind of thing.
That was one of like.
And
the
you were
best.
like the poster girl for that movie.
Yes.
They're always using your image or the character you played to sort of sell the movie.
Yes.
So if you had, let's say, a success clause negotiated into it, then maybe if a character that you play you bodied the role so much that it's basically what is selling the movie, then anytime they get streams based off of that, or they use that character for merch or something, you get a cut from the royalties.
But how would you be able to determine that the success is coming off the back of?
So if,
The
let's
role
say,
play,
they are using you basically as the poster girl for the movie, if they are using your character for merch or action figures or anything of that sort, but it's reasonably determinable that these people are just milking my character and using, and you can tell too from the fans that everyone is talking about this character.
Okay.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
In such a situation, it's better to have that clause in the contract than such a clause not in the contract at all, because in that case you can't even ask for anything apart from the fee that you were paid initially. Because when they give you whatever 10k 7k whatever 20k, even if it's 50k, that's it. You get me?
So then it would be better to negotiate for a larger amount, also because it's meant to be a flat rate, and so you take that and you know that no matter what the movie makes, because you were a resource, you are not entitled to any more money. But then when your image is being used, right, to promote the movie, that's when you should be getting,
or being used for selling merch or
okay, that's when you should be getting cut.
that one you can get cut.
Okay,
and then there's also in developed jurisdictions they have, I don't know if you've heard of the SAG, SAG in America, Screen Actors Guild. They are like an association of performers. So they negotiate for residuals. So if, let's say, after the initial airing date, the movie or the song is, the film is still racking up views or whatever, you get a cut.
And that's what they say, that the system is working, because even years after
you
you're
still make money from the
does it still
residuals.
apply? Does this also apply to the commercial models as well? Those who give their talent or give their image to be used in commercials, whether still or video. Does this also apply to them? Because
so if it's in relation to a video, like I said, the owner of the video would be the producer.
Okay.
So typically the people engaged, the talents engaged for creation of that would be deemed as independent, work for hire agreement. So if you want more, it's contractual. So long as, I remember the last I mentioned that as long as a contractual provision is not contrary to the law or public policy, parties they have the autonomy to negotiate whatever terms they feel like commercially works for them.
Okay.
So if you want more, you need to include it. But you would usually find clauses in the agreements that you hereby assign any copyrights that you may even create. So I told you that I negotiated some time back an actor agreement for. He was, funny enough, it was very strategic. He was also a musician, and they wanted him to make songs for the movie. And they had included such a clause in the contract that
that's ripping him off. No?
if he hadn't brought the contract, then conclusively he would have assigned his songs that he was going to make for the movie to them, and he won't be able to because he have signed it off. So I told him that they should delete that and then create a sync, a master rights use or a sync license agreement separately, so that it's not subsumed cunningly under the
But people are shady.
actor
How would you do that?
Well, that's what
So
business
with
people
the
do.
contracts, when it's signed before, right?
Yeah.
And then you see that the movie starts to rack in the numbers, and it's your image that is being used to sell merch and to get all the
The
people investing-
character.
the character,
yeah.
the character that is being used,
Mm.
right? Is there a possibility to go back and ask them to take a look at your contract or sue, or how is that done?
Yes, suing is usually not advisable when it comes to these things because you want to preserve relationships.
True.
You don't want to be blackballed in the industry. Nobody will call you for roles.
Unless you start your own film.
Mm-hmm. How's it going for you on Nelson and Co? Well, what I would advise, is that do whatever, insert whatever contractual provision before you sign off. Because at the end of the day, when they start making money and you reach out back to them and say that, now I see that you're making money, I want a cut, you will typically be met with resistance. They won't mind you.
Right.
Because you are now coming to ask for a bigger cut when they feel like they've paid you off. But if it's already in it, it will be difficult for you to negotiate.
To do that.
But in the event you are hard, that you want it by all means, and you've tried amicable attempts and it's not working, then by all means you
How
can.
about the cases where you've signed for maybe about a year or 2 or 3 years, right? And that's the stipulated time within which your image can be used. And then beyond those agreed years, the brand is still using your image for or maybe through the ads or the
I want to
billboards.
get the question a bit
So,
clear, yeah.
for example, if you've signed as a model, okay, or a content creator, for example, to any brand at all, to run ads for them, okay, so they are going to do videos, they are going to do stills through billboards, right?
Yeah.
If you've signed a contract within a year or 2 or 3 years, and they say that beyond this number of years, we are not going to be using your image, or beyond this number of years, within this number of years, you can't work for or work with a competing brand, right? And you, as the content creator, you stick to that, but the brand, after the 3 years time, they are still using
that means they are
your,
breaching
your
the
image.
that means that you said they've agreed not that's it's supposed to last for 3 years.
Yeah.
And they are not supposed to be using it unless
After.
maybe it's been renewed. Usually they have option periods in such agreements.
So let's say
Wait,
no renewal.
no renewal.
They continue using it. Can you sue?
Well, that would
asking
mean
because of
they've
the
breached.
sue.
That would mean they've breached your agreement.
Okay.
So you
can
first,
sue in
right?
that
So
situation.
you can reach out to them that they compensate you for the continued use.
Okay.
If they fail to compensate you for that, whatever that use is worth, then maybe you can send a demand letter. And then you send a demand letter. They would, if they have lawyers that are worth their salt, they would advise them. They analyze the contract and then they read it properly and they realize you don't have a strong bargaining position. They would settle. It wouldn't make sense to allow the matter to progress to court, because all you'll be doing in that circumstance is increasing your financial liabilities. Because if it goes to court, you would pay the person's lawyers too. You pay damages, you pay interest. It's unnecessary.
The person's lawyers too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they usually ask for costs of litigation in a suit because filing fees, legal fees, they are all expensive. So
Right.
at the end of the day, if your lawyer is worth it, so they would advise you, especially after analyzing your respective positions, and then they realize that
It's not worth
it's
it.
not
How
worth it.
important are amicable, settlements, when you, let's say for you, if anyone comes to you with any IP issues like any of the scenarios we've given, will your first thing looking at the situation be to go to court, or it's more advisable to try and settle it, and when it doesn't work, that's when you decide to go to court?
Has anyone here been involved in litigation before?
I pray never.
Whether
I've
it's
only
non-contentious.
So
I only escorted
Not
people
me,
to court,
yes.
but I was just outside. I didn't even want to go in.
I have
You have,
yeah,
okay.
family related litigation
So probably
issues. So I know
all right.
I know how tedious it is to go to and from court, like back and
When the
forth.
judge is not even
For-
sitting.
and it's for years. This issue I'm talking about dragged on for more than 6 years. And I was going to court. I had no business going to court. I'm not a lawyer.
Was it resolved?
After the show, we go. But I'm telling you that you definitely don't want to go.
It's something it's a stick in the wheel of commerce, especially in industries like this. You don't want your matter to be in court. Honestly, every day you are going to court, every day you are paying legal fees. You don't want that. So, and honestly, for us lawyers too, it can be tedious because when we consider the first thing I do when I have contractual disputes is I search for an ADR clause. So whether arbitration, alternative dispute resolution.
Okay.
So it's basically a surrogate kind of litigation that doesn't involve the courts. You resolve it privately,
Outside.
and it's faster. Whether it's arbitration, mediation,
You still get paid regardless?
you still get paid.
No, I'm asking you. Do you still get paid regardless?
So yeah, the lawyer would definitely, if you want to be represented by a lawyer, but you don't really need a lawyer for those proceedings.
Okay.
But if you want, let me clarify. If it's more like negotiated or mediated settlements, you really don't want a lawyer because they don't resolve it in a rights-based approach, as in winner takes all approach. But if it's an arbitration, that one is more formal. So with that one, you probably want to involve lawyers, but the catch there is it's not as tedious and as formal and as expensive and as dragging as the courtroom one.
So that's a no.
Yeah, it's a
Courtroom for this industry, I usually would. So any contract I draft, artist management agreements, recording contracts, whatever, I put ADR clauses in it.
Okay.
So they are so acceptable to the extent that you can have an ADR clause in your contract, go to court, and then they'll tell you, my friend, go and do ADR. Because you've agreed on.
I think that in all of this, in us trying to understand the intricacies of IP, and we are looking for solutions at the end of the day. And so I was looking up, because I asked you the other day with regards to GAMRO and its role in all of this, right? So I was looking up, whether we have put in place any systems and all of that. And I found out that in 2016, the government actually established a body, NIPS, the National Intellectual Property Policy Strategy in 2016, to make sure that we are aligned when it comes to intellectual property with international standards, right? Now, I was looking forward to finding out that, it's working, but apparently...
The bodies there are plenty.
Yeah,
so far, do you know there's a National Film Authority?
Yeah.
Okay, but do you know whether they are effective or not?
They've been
They
working.
try, yeah.
They've been working.
The National Film Authority.
That's our biggest problem. We have so many laws, so many
Okay, for
institutions.
us, we can
Communication.
But we don't
only
see
say
what
that
they are
they do
doing.
what they need to do.
Yeah.
That's what we can say. But as to the details of, what they are doing, I think that also they try to help, especially filmmakers and all of that, to unite them. I think for the past 2 years they've done,
the past 2 years.
Africa Cinema Summit and all of that.
And
so
they've
it's just
had-
a wing of that.
They've also had, conferences and some competitions to
Okay.
empower, filmmakers, even giving out grants, and so they're trying.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they're
you
trying.
join the industry, so you probably
Yeah,
feel
they're
it more.
trying.
But you
They're
see,
trying.
it takes us back to the question that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Because I don't know whether NIPS is working. We don't know. At least we've seen the African Cinema Summit. We've seen that the NFA is doing something with the African Cinema Summit.
Yeah.
But beyond that, we do not know what they are doing. We know what their role is supposed to be. But are they actually playing their role to their full capacity? The NIPS and all the other bodies. Now, if taking into account the fact that all these bodies have been established and we are still not we still don't practice, or we are not aligned with the international standards when it comes to intellectual property, what then becomes the issue, especially when you have to deal with people or other creators from a different background or setting who actually take, because this morning you mentioned how in a recording session Bankuli harmonized something and he was given credit for that. Just the harmony. Over here someone might say, oh, it's nothing. All you did was cough on there.
Yes.
All you did was cough on there.
You won't get anything.
Exactly. So what do we do? Because we don't have bodies. The bodies are there, but they are not regulated.
Implementation of the
implementation,
policies.
especially when you have to deal with foreigners who take, or other people who take IP very, very seriously. What then do we do?
If what Sofa just said about the National Film Authority is true, and the governmental institutions are doing their best, then I don't want to say anything about them, but I have my personal, comments about how effective these institutions are. But I would usually bring it down to you, the creative, because at the end of the day, outside of the world, no one is coming to save you. So you should educate yourself, learn. You may not have the resources to involve a lawyer yet, but at least learn the fundamentals. Read. Don't go on the internet and waste your time on unimportant things. If you know that where you are going to potentially make your money from, you are ignorant in that field, right? Read about your rights, read about the fundamentals, and then from there, you could probably be in the same spaces. I attended a diaspora event some few weeks ago. I don't know if you heard about it, the one organized by Crux. Yeah. All the conversations I was having with the people there and the stakeholders there is that these people are, like Lenny mentioned, these people are coming from a well-structured place. Like, even if you establish that cordial relationship with them, at the end of the day, it will come down to business. And if you are not well versed in the business and they are telling you, they're asking for certain things and you don't understand or you don't know what it means, they may like your music, they may want to work with you, but most of them are even signed artists and whatnot, so they don't have a say, the final say. And if you are not someone you don't have a team, you don't know what you are doing, you probably miss out on expanding your reach to outside of Ghana and all that. So I think it really will come down to the artists, the creatives, learning more, or if you have the resources, again, I'm doing the self-serving preaching again, and you know what that means. Engage lawyers, ask them for advice on what to do when it comes to these things.
Oh, but I think it's not self-serving. I think it's only right that creatives should have, even if you're not, officially going to be paying the person, you should know somebody that you can run your contracts by and ask if you're doing the right thing or if you're not signing your life away.
I'll tell you the truth. There are some managers I've dealt with who taught me even things that I didn't know. There are some that have done it for so long that they are basically lawyers, but only in this regard. They know too much, and it even makes me uncomfortable sometimes. So as a creative, if you have a way of reaching out to people like that, they'll probably not charge you as much as they would charge a lawyer. I stand to be corrected, but they could also help people who are like experts in music contracts. But there's a danger to that though, because they may be using commercial wisdom and English to interpret contracts. There are some things in interpreting contracts or construction of contracts that only a lawyer who has been trained will know the imports of this provision, as much as you may have your business wisdom or whatever.
Okay. So David, are you open to having people reach out to you as well? If you are, then I'll have you put out a contact that they can reach, even if it's email.
I'm in an association that is heavily regulated. We are not supposed to advertise. So to that extent.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure people will find you.
But my name is there, so if you want to find me, you
I'm sure
probably
people will find you if they want to.
If you want to find him. That's a conversation for another day.
There's no conversation.
Why they can't find him?
There's no conversation.
We difficult to find him. But anyway, lawyer David William Ekoku Nyantichi has been our guest today. We've been talking IPs and understanding consumption and monetization as well. He's a legal associate working with B&P Associates. So, David, thank you so much for joining the conversation again. Now, the part 1 can be found on our YouTube. So, 3 music networks on YouTube. You'd find the part 1 if you are just watching this one for the first time today, and then you understand the full scope of it. I again think that we didn't fully exhaust, if you will agree, but let's see how it plays out in the coming days or weeks as well, because these conversations are unending, and it runs deeper than we would want to speak on. So yes, it's been the Culture Daily Morning Show. We've been doing this since 7 a.m. and I hope that you have enjoyed it, whether you've been tuned in on TV or you've been watching on Plus 89. you've been listening on Plus 89.9 FM, or you've been watching on 3 Music TV. We are back again tomorrow, and with that I can say that this week has gone by faster than I thought it would. But anyway, that's the thing about this January 2025 that I've
special
already
January.
mentioned. It's on wheels, okay?
Steroids.
It is running
I
really,
don't
really
agree.
fast, but you don't agree?
No, this January is very tired. Even after the holidays,
Uh-huh.
we are still it's 6 weeks.
Hey,
and
it
then
makes
we are
two
still,
of you.
we are still 2 weeks. Oh, come on.
Yeah,
That's 2 weeks dead.
We spent part of January
We've been
in
in
the
January
house.
for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And there are 2 weeks left. I don't agree. at all.
Anyway,
I don't agree.
January
It's not
72 days to me, and NAC are going really fast. But David and Kujocho don't think so.
Could have
But
done
anyway,
better.
whatever the case is, I hope that you go out there today and have a great day. Again, happy birthday going out to Media, Matriarch, Ohinere, Gifty, Auntie, and blossom as you blossom more, flourish more, and then also abound in the blessings of God as you turn 55 today. This is coming from all of us here at 3 Music TV and Plus 89.9 FM. You are appreciated, just as we appreciate you, our listeners and our viewers as well. The show again is Culture Daily. My name, Lenny Lomote. I've been doing this with Silfa and Kojo Trip, and we will definitely catch you tomorrow, God willing. Do have a fruitful, productive, and great day.
Culture Daily was brought to you by Telecel.